Have you ever pondered over the paradoxical statement, "War is peace"? Today, we dive into the depths of this intriguing concept. This aphorism, which may seem contradictory at first, takes its roots from the dystopian novel 1984, written by the visionary author George Orwell. In his novel, Orwell presents a world where war is a constant, a perpetual state of affairs, and yet it's through this very war that a semblance of peace is maintained. Fast forward to our contemporary world, and we find traces of Orwell's thought-provoking concept. We see nations embroiled in conflicts, yet these very conflicts often serve to maintain a balance of power, a status quo, if you will. It's an uneasy peace, yes, but peace nonetheless. This is the essence of War is Peace. Now that we've set the stage, let's embark on a journey through time to understand the evolution of this concept. The concept of war is peace has deep roots with early interpretations dating back to ancient civilizations. The Romans, for instance, were known for their militaristic society and their belief in Pax Romana or Roman peace. This was not a peace born out of tranquility, but rather a peace that was maintained through the strength and intimidation of the Roman military might. They believed that a strong military presence deterred conflict, and thus, in their eyes, war was indeed peace. Similarly, the ancient Greeks also held comparable views. Renowned for their philosophical musings, they too considered war as a means to achieve peace. The famed philosopher Plato stated, "Only the dead have seen the end of war." This sentiment encapsulates the Greek belief that conflict is an inevitable part of human existence, and through it, a form of peace can be achieved. The famous historian Thucydides also wrote about the Peloponnesian War and how it was fought to establish a balance of power, ultimately leading to peace. His writings echo the sentiment that war is a necessary evil for the greater good of peace. Even in the East, similar concepts can be found. The ancient Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu, author of The Art of War, stated, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." This principle suggests that the mere threat of war can bring about peace, reinforcing the idea that war in its essence is peace. One could argue that these early interpretations laid the groundwork for the concept of war is peace. These civilizations believed that a state of peace could only be maintained through the power and potential of war. They believed that war deterred conflict, established balance, and in turn created peace. As we can see, the idea of war is peace isn't new. It has been with us for centuries. These early interpretations form the backbone of our understanding of this complex concept, giving us a lens through which we can examine its evolution and relevance in today's world. Fast forward to the 20th century, the Cold War era provided a fresh perspective on war is peace. The Cold War, a period of geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, spanned from the mid-20th century to the early 90s. This period was characterized by a different kind of conflict, not one of direct military action, but of political and economic competition, propaganda, and proxy wars. In this era, the concept of war is peace took on a new, more nuanced meaning. It wasn't about the active engagement in warfare, but rather the looming threat of it. The world was divided into two major political and military blocs, each armed with a formidable arsenal of nuclear weapons. The fear of mutual destruction, should these weapons ever be used, was a powerful deterrent that maintained a precarious balance. This concept is known as nuclear deterrence. It's a sort of high-stakes poker game where both players have an equally dangerous hand. The knowledge that initiating a nuclear war would result in mutually assured destruction kept both sides in check, preventing the outbreak of a full-blown war. So, in a strange twist of logic, the existence of these weapons of mass destruction and the threat of a war they carried actually served to preserve peace. The world was held in a state of Cold War, a tense but largely peaceful standoff. This period also saw the rise of diplomacy and international relations as crucial tools in maintaining this balance. Treaties were signed, alliances were formed, and negotiations were conducted, all in the name of preventing the spark that could ignite a nuclear war. The Cold War era therefore offers an intriguing example of the war is peace concept. It was a time when the world teetered on the brink of a conflict that could have been catastrophic. Yet it was this very threat that maintained a tense peace. The Cold War era showed us how the threat of war can paradoxically preserve peace. In today's interconnected world, war is peace takes on new meanings. It's a paradox that seems to defy logic yet continues to shape our global landscape. The modern world has seen its fair share of wars and conflicts, each leaving indelible marks on the sands of time. These events, while devastating, often serve a dual purpose. They not only reshape geopolitical boundaries, but also help maintain a delicate balance of power. This balance, in turn, can lead to sustained periods of peace, giving credence to the seemingly contradictory notion that war, in some form, can lead to peace. Consider the role of military interventions in the modern world. These operations, often sanctioned by international bodies, are generally aimed at restoring peace and stability in regions marred by civil unrest or violent conflict. While the immediate impact of such interventions may seem more warlike than peaceful, the long-term objective is invariably the restoration of peace. For instance, the NATO-led intervention in Bosnia and Herzegovina in the 90s was aimed at ending the Bosnian War and establishing peace. Despite the initial turmoil, the intervention eventually led to the Dayton Agreement, which has maintained peace in the region for over 2 decades. In some cases, the mere threat of war can act as a deterrent, preventing conflicts and maintaining peace. Nuclear deterrence during the Cold War is a prime example of this. The mutual fear of annihilation kept the two superpowers from engaging in a direct, full-scale war. However, it's crucial to remember that this concept is not an endorsement of war. Rather, it's an examination of the intricate relationship between war and peace, conflict and stability. The idea is not to glorify war, but to understand its role in shaping peace. In this globalized era, the concept of war is peace continues to shape our world in surprising ways. As we strive for a world free of conflict, it's important to recognize and understand these complexities. After all, it's only by acknowledging the darkness that we can truly appreciate the light. So, what have we learned about the concept of war is peace? This seemingly paradoxical statement has been a recurring theme throughout human history, influencing our understanding of geopolitics. From ancient times, societies have strived for peace, often ironically, through the mechanism of war. The rationale? By engaging in conflict, nations aim to establish order, deter potential threats, and ultimately create a more peaceful world. In the early interpretations, we saw how war was perceived as a means to peace, a necessary evil to maintain balance. The Roman Empire, for instance, expanded its territories through warfare, aiming to establish Pax Romana, or Roman peace, a period of relative tranquility. Fast forward to the Cold War era, and the idea of war is peace took on a new dimension. The world was divided into 2 blocks, each armed to the teeth, yet a full-blown war never materialized. This was the era of mutually assured destruction, a grim yet effective deterrent that maintained a tense peace. In the modern world, the concept of war is peace continues to evolve. Today, it is largely seen through the lens of interventions, with nations engaging in conflicts abroad in the name of peace. This is often justified as a means to prevent greater conflicts, to protect human rights, or to eliminate threats to global security. Yet, it's worth noting that this concept is not without its critics. Many argue that true peace cannot be achieved through violence or intimidation, but rather through dialogue, diplomacy, and mutual understanding. This ongoing debate underscores the complexities of the war is peace philosophy and its role in shaping our world. Though war is peace might seem paradoxical, it's a concept deeply ingrained in human history and continues to shape our world. As we navigate the complexities of geopolitics, it's a concept worth pondering over.